Thank you very much. And all right, perfect. So now we will have a call to order of the Boynton Beach CRA meeting today, Tuesday, April 21st, 2020 at 5:55 p.m. I'll lead off with an invocation if everyone could bow their heads. Heavenly Father and Motherly Earth, we are thankful for all the lives that you have brought into this world recently, and we're humbled for the ones that you have taken. We here in the CRA have lost a couple of our former advisory board members and their family, and so we grieve for the loss that they can no longer be with us and share in the glory that you have here on earth. And so I request just a moment of silence from everybody so that we can honor all those people that are doing the very best to make sure that this world is a better place. All right. Thank you so much. And now may I have a roll call, please?
Chair Stephen B. Grant.
Present.
Vice Chair Ty Pensinger.
Present.
Board Member Justin Katz.
Here.
Board Member Woodrow Hay.
Here.
Board Member Christina Romulus.
Present.
Chair, we have a quorum.
All right, thank you so much. Any additions, deletions, or corrections to the agenda? Seeing none, may I have a motion to approve?
So move. Second.
All those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. We will begin with legal consideration of resolution 20-03. Tara, would you like to present?
Yes, thank you so much. And I'd like to say congratulations and welcome Board Member Hay, and congratulations Board Member Pensinger. It's nice to see you all. I wish it would have been in person, but alas, here we are. Before you tonight is a resolution that staff has put together in light of our current COVID circumstances that makes three changes to procedures that are currently in place in order to facilitate the CRA staff to better help our businesses with our existing programs. So just briefly, the three things that the resolution allows are the following. The first is to allow any member of the board to sign a document and bind the board. Normally there's a chain of command and how that works. The mayor is usually the one to sign. Given the circumstances, the social distancing issues, the resolution would allow any member of the board to be the member to execute a contract, and it would have the power of the mayor and bind the CRA. Of course, it would not change the requirements that you all approve any of that, any such contract, but it would allow you to sign. The second item allows the executive director to make administrative changes to our existing programs. Specifically, the thought and inspiration for this provision is to allow the CRA director to change the deadlines for things for our businesses, move up the payment of certain items under our existing programs. It makes no substantive changes to the programs, but it gives him some flexibility in determining how best to administer them for the benefit of our businesses during this time. And finally, the third provision allows abates rent at the marina from April 1st through September 30th. So those are the three provisions. If there's any questions, please feel free to ask myself or the executive director.
Any questions from the board? Vice Chair Pensinger.
Thank you for that, Tara. Could you just elaborate on section 3 of this resolution? I want to make sure that, it's not just for myself, but for the public's understanding. It says here that the board approves the abatement of rental payments. I just want to be absolutely clear. This is not a delay in rent, not a reduction in rent, but rather we are foregoing rent during this time period. Is that right?
Correct.
Fantastic.
All right. And so, no, I'm excited that, and so Tara, that means that anyone on this board can sign contracts, deeds, and whatever is necessary for that.
Correct. It's going to allow staff a little bit more flexibility in finding somebody to be the signatory on documents. Correct.
Okay, wonderful. All right. Is there any further discussion from the board? Seeing none, may I have a motion to approve?
So move.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. All those in favor state so by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. All right. Moving on to informational items and disclosures by board members and CRA staff. Board member Katz, would you like to begin?
Yeah, I spoke to Bradley Miller from Miller Land Planning regarding a couple of different projects I guess he has in the works on the east side, and that is it. I'll congratulate board member Hay and Pensurga, and next time we actually meet in person, I'll go into a little more detail because this is a little awkward, so I'd save the long-winded congratulations for in person.
All right.
That's it.
Excellent.
Thanks anyway.
And
Yes.
then board member Hay, do you have any items to disclose?
I too spoke with Bradley Miller on his two projects in this community, District 2 and District 3. Other than that, no. And thank you very much for your support and your congratulation letters.
All right. Board member Romulus, do you have any items to disclose?
I also spoke with Bradley Miller of Urban Kildare Studios, and I also had a conversation with Fred McClellan.
All right. Thank you. Vice Chair Pensurga?
I also spoke to Bradley Miller regarding the same two projects, but other than that, no other disclosures.
Okay. And I also spoke with Bradley Miller, and I attended the opening of Chez Andrea's restaurant, and it was delicious. So if there's no further items of disclosure, we'll move on to announcements and awards.
Yes, good evening, board chair, board members. Congratulations to our new board member Hay, and for the election to board member Pensurga. This announcement is simply to allow the public to be aware that the Boynton Beach CRA has completed its required annual report and financial audit that has been distributed to all of the statutory taxing authorities and other authorities that are required to receive that. And we have also published that into the newspaper for direct mailing, and it's on our website. So please take a look at it. There's some great photos, and all of our financial information is there on our projects, and an update on what everything the CRA has done last year.
All right. Thank you. There's no informational only, so we're going to move it on to public comments. John, so we will now open to all attendees if they would like to raise their hand to be called on for CRA matters, which is different than City Commission matters. And we will ask, give everybody a minute to either raise their hand or to ask a question. And please let me know if you see any. And these individual speakers will be limited to 3-minute presentations. Please state your name and address for the record.
Okay, Mayor Grant, I do see one that is raised, and I'm going to unmute the microphone.
Yep.
Whoops, sorry. Mr. Tory Orr.
Yeah, y'all hear me?
We do hear you.
Yes.
All right, how everybody doing?
We're staying safe.
All right, we staying safe. You know where we, how you doing, Mike?
Good, thank you. Good, thank you.
How you doing, Mr. Woodrow?
Fantastic.
How you doing, Christina? Well, well, y'all, as y'all know, I call myself an activist and an advocate for my community, so I have to be out there. We're doing the free lunch program for the kids through the summer. We're doing it 6 days a week. you know, and we feeding the senior citizens 50 meals a day, you know, keeping them in the house, you know, limiting contact, you know. We're doing all we can, you know, on our end. And I like what the city of Boynton is doing with the CRA, y'all getting the food out to the people with the feeding South Florida. I love that. You know, I wish I could ride my bike out there, but it's too far. And Mayor, I like the way y'all responded, man, about this thing, this COVID. I like the way the city of Boynton have responded to it.
Thank you.
You know, I do appreciate that. And Mike, man, like I said, you know, well, I like the building being brought up over there, the new on 7th. I like the way that project coming up. It looked real
Great.
nice.
Great.
It's looking real nice. It's coming up real nice. It's coming up real nice. And I want to know, well, inquiring mind about my community, Mike, we want to ask you a question about when apartments they building, like how would they go about signing up for it?
At this moment, the CRA office is the number that you can have them direct their calls to the office. We're supplying the developer with names and addresses of those that are interested. And the developer will be providing the CRA, I believe they said with sometime in May, a formal number directly to the developer. But for now, please just have them call the CRA at 561
Yeah, I know.
737.
I'll tell them what the one on Federal. I'll tell them what to look up and call. Tell them to call the CRA then.
Okay.
Because I can inquire mind want to know.
Sure, that's great.
You know.
Thank you.
You know. And Woodrow, you our commissioner now, Woodrow Hayes. You know, we got open arms over here. You know, we all open arms. So you know, Nathaniel, we looking forward to seeing you. You know.
You will see me.
All right, no doubt. And congratulations on you, Ty, on you winning your seat.
Thank you, Tori. I appreciate it.
And so, Mayor, I got one more question.
Okay.
So, what we're gonna do about the 100-year anniversary of Boynton Beach?
It's still 100 years, so we got a few more months. We got few more months, and so we're expecting to do some great celebrations. From what we can see, that Pirate Fest is still going to be around, and we're gonna, as soon as we get the go ahead from the governor, the county administrator, our city manager, we will be having parties again and celebrating our centennial.
And one more thing before I go. One more thing. Not this Saturday, but next Saturday, we're gonna try to feed all the city. We're gonna bring porky out. We're gonna have it at our house, but we're gonna make like 200-300 plates. We're gonna try to give it all the city workers something to come through and get something to eat.
All right, we appreciate that.
All right, y'all.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, Mayor Grant, I'm muting Mr. Orr, and I have, let's see, Mr. Romero Chavez.
Hi, sir.
Hello,
Romeo
Mr.
Chavez, sorry.
Mr. Chavez, please state your address for the record.
Yeah, it's 641 Northwest 5th Street, Boynton Beach.
All right, and what would you like to tell us about the CRA?
Yeah, I mean, I'm new in this conference, and I think I jumped in a little late. So the last thing I hear, it was about something about rent or mortgage. I don't know, something.
Do you have any additional questions?
Yeah, I don't know about that because I jump in late. So
Okay, that was about the marina that the governor and the county administrator closed that is under that is CRA property. So that is only for the commercial tenants at the Ocean Avenue Marina.
I got you. Okay, that's all I want to know, and I want to say thank you for inviting me to this conference. I appreciate it. It's gonna be every Tuesday, right?
The first, second, and third Tuesdays of the the month, we have first and third are our city commission meetings, and then the second Tuesday is the CRA meeting.
Okay, I appreciate. I'm a pastor at one church in West Palm Beach, so I appreciate, and I will pray for you commissions of my city. I have one year in this city, and I'm very happy. Beautiful city.
All right. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
God bless you, sir.
Mayor,
Yes.
I believe his question may have been addressed towards what Tori was asking. So Mike, if you could share that phone number and just finish sharing it, because I think that would be relevant for a few people who may be watching and listening here.
Certainly. The CRA main line to the office is 561-737-3256. And you can leave that message with your name and contact information on any of the voicemails, but particularly either mine, Michael Simon, or Teresa Utterback, and we'll supply that information directly to the developer. We have been doing that now for several months.
Okay. Thank you, Mike. And
Thank you.
also, when we do have the developer come by, what documentation they need for their application, so that
Yes, sir.
everybody that is following the CRA, if they need their W-2s, their tax returns, pay stubs, so that they can get everything in place to once the building is open.
Yes, sir. That's great.
All right.
Mayor Grant, I have a question that was submitted by Adam Birdwell. The question is,
Okay.
will the CRA be offering any programs to small businesses in respects to financial aid?
Yes, I believe that we're going to be discussing that later on with the commercial rent reimbursement and discussion under item 15A or 15B.
Okay. I also have a hand raised by David Costanzo. Let me unmute him. Mr. Costanzo, your phone has been unmuted.
Good evening. Our address is 224 Northeast 3rd Street. My name is David Costanzo, owner of Appliance King of America. Actually, Mr. Birdwell just asked the question that I was going to ask as to the plans for aid for businesses in our area. So I got my answer on that. We'll discuss that further. Did want to give my congratulations to Commissioner Pensurga and also for his vice mayorship. So congratulations to that, Mr. Simon. Nice seeing you again, and I'll wait till
Thank you, David.
we get to step 15 to see what's going on. Thank you, guys.
Thank
Okay.
you.
I
Thank you.
muted him. And there is another question by, let's see, Golene Gordon. Whoops. Her phone has been self-muted. Oh, there we go.
Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Greetings. I just want to say hello to everyone and congratulate our new Vice Mayor, Ty Pensurga, and our new elected official, Mr. Rujo Haid. Congratulations on your win. And Ty, congratulations on your win again.
Thank you.
And also, I would like to say thank you to Lori. I have been following. You have been doing a wonderful job with on social media and keeping us updated in what's going on, the programs that is going on, and then informing us with COVID-19 and how you guys take responsibility to make sure that everybody in the city is protected or staying protected and following all the orders for the safety of our community. I just would like to say thank you for that. You guys are doing an amazing job, and everybody who's in there that's been doing something for the police officer, the fire department, or doing something for anyone in the city of Boynton Beach, I just want to thank you for all the good work that you are doing. Keep it up, and then that's how we actually become a great city, by showing love to each other. Thank you very much for all you guys have done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Gordon's phone has been muted. I have a question from, or hand raised by Mr. Jim Knight.
I think we have Lucille Gustave. He's been waiting a little bit longer than Jim.
Okay, let me get to that one.
I know it goes alphabetical, so. Do you want to see if I can get it?
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hi. Yes, I'm in District 4. Hello to everyone, and congratulations to everyone that's been seated. Congratulations, Ty. I just want to know, this is my first time having the opportunity to attend one of, the city commission meetings, and I'm enjoying the fact that, you went and had this meeting on a platform where a lot of people in the city can actually join. Will it be something moving forward where you will alternate, even if it's not every month or every couple of months, where you would have these meetings on platforms like this so a lot more people in the city will be able to attend?
Lucille, before I begin, can you give us your address for the record?
I am in 8202 White Rock Circle.
All right, thank you so much. So currently our new city hall is being built. And so there we will have the capability to integrate a lot more technology into both the city commission and CRA board meetings. And so, yes, I do see the fact that we are getting a lot more attendees to these meetings. And that's kind of what the point of the Sunshine Law is, that it is open to the public. And so that is something that the city commission and CRA board can discuss once we are in our new facility. So I do see that we will be creating an opportunity for a virtual meeting and an open meeting for the public to both attend and see through online.
And can I just add a little legal disclaimer to that? The reason that we are allowed to have these virtual meetings right now in the format that we are is that the governor has lifted some of the Sunshine Law restrictions that require a quorum of the board members to be physically present before a virtual meeting can be had. That's less of an issue with attendees. However, there is some issues with attendees and making sure public comment goes the way it needs to go. But I'm sure those can be overcome in the future. But I did want to just say that the reason we are allowed to do that is because of the emergency order from the governor, which when that's lifted, all of our board members will all have to be present again physically.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Is there another question that you have? I don't know for microphone. And so now we'll, the next hand raised is Jim Knight, and I believe you're unmuted.
First of all, I'd like to say congratulations to Vice Mayor Ty Passinger and also Woodrow Hay. Congratulations. Hard fought battles, deserve the wins. I'd like to say thank you very much for continuing with your business and continuing to move forward with policies and so forth that are so important for the community in spite of this crazy virus and everything that's going on. It's very important to the small business owners to be able to continue forward, and it's very difficult in these times. And again, I appreciate everything you're doing in the CRA and so forth, and I hope it continues to move forward, because sometimes the actual pandemic, unfortunately, I lost my mother on March 17th, but the reality is we need to move forward. We can't sit still. And if we don't start to open up, I think the issue of mental health and so forth can be worse than the actual problem. So I'm hopeful that we will move forward with trying to open up, some of the golf courses like they've done north, where they have one person that rides in a golf cart, and per foursome, makes it easier to find your ball, of course, when you're riding by yourself, and to hopefully get things moving to the right direction, because people need to get out and about, and they can't sit cooped up in their homes, because it's going to cause more difficulties. Not to mention my wife has chased me out of the house multiple times. But I thank you for all that you're doing, and I really appreciate it. And thank you so much for everything.
All right. Thank you, Jim. And just to give us some more information, I heard the media press release from our county mayor, Dave Kerner. And one of the things that Palm Beach County, that our city manager is following the lead of the county administrator, is that we are working together with Broward, Miami-Dade, and Monroe counties so that we don't have a rush of people coming into Palm Beach County because we're the only county that is open. And so that's something that we need to work well with our southern neighbors. I do agree with you, the mental health aspect of being stuck inside and really only being able to walk now that we cannot drive our cars and go to certain parks. And I look forward that hopefully the CRA will be able to enhance some of the park facilities that we do have in the CRA district.
Thank you very much. And it is truly a group effort of all the residents and communities to work together and to keep distancing. I mean, everybody needs to wear a mask. That's fine. That's all okay. I think that's important and good. We can go shopping at the grocery store, but we can't go to the beach. I mean, some things to me just don't make a lot of sense. That's just my opinion.
All right. And we understand. So thank you again for your comments.
Thank you.
All right. And John, do we have anyone else raising a hand or asking a question? I don't see any.
I do not see any at this time.
All right. So public audience or public comments is now closed. And we will move forward with consent agenda. Would anyone like to pull an item from consent agenda? Seeing none, may I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion from the board? Seeing none, all those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any oppose? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Moving on to item 15A, consideration and discussion of the Boynton Beach Community Redevelopment Agency's Small Business Disaster Relief Forgivable Loan Program. Michael, would you
Yes,
like
sir.
to
Yes, Board
discuss?
Chair. I'm happy to and really pleased to offer this small business disaster relief forgivable loan program to the board and our business owners, our local business owners. The CRA staff and the CRA, provided that it has approved this, is looking to create a forgivable loan of a maximum of $10,000 interest-free loan to businesses with 50 or fewer employees, and that would include sole proprietors, which some of our other federally funded assistance programs do not. So we have targeted the 50 or fewer employees up to $10,000. So it's not you don't have to just have 10,000 if your expenses are less. It would be a loan that would be used for paying for payroll, utilities, or inventory. And the business has 1 year to return with the $10,000 or whatever their loan amount is worth of verifiable receipts and paid invoices for those 3 particular items. And then the loan converts to a grant. So in the end, it becomes a grant without any encumbrances for the business. The first step is to get the application in, get approved, the money is released, the business holds on to those receipts that are eligible, and then they provide those back to the CRA, and the loan document is then converted. We feel like that's going to be something that is going to help our businesses in quite a few ways with the payroll, the inventory, and utilities. The idea for funding is to take $300,000 from the unused line item of the Community Caring Center relocation. And then provided the board wants to do it in 2 rounds, you could fund $300,000 for the first round and approve a second round release of $200,000 if the first 300 is used, then staff would immediately start drawing on the second 200. That would be a total of 500. That's the CRA's staff's recommendation. We know that there are easily 30 to 40 businesses perhaps that would take advantage of this. The 500, of course, would allow us to help 50 businesses if everyone took the full 10. And again, that's not a requirement. If the business only needs 5 or 7,500, that's all they would have to take out as their initial loan. And again, once they finish their expenses within that first year, they bring it back to the CRA and we release the loan and convert to a grant.
All right. I'll open it up to the commission for any comment, or the board for any comments. If you want to raise your hand, or so yes, I think we're just going to go down the list. Board member Hay, would you like to begin?
Yes, Mike, I just wanted you to repeat on the limitation of what the funds can be used for and what they cannot be used for.
Yes, sir. There are only 3 categories that we have proposed to the CRA board that is an approvable category of spending, and that is for payroll, and that's a verifiable number, and the businesses know how to do that and provide that verification. Utilities such as water, electric, and gas. If they're a restaurant, they may have gas supplied for their ovens, what have you. And the third is for inventory, and that would be verifiable inventory that is being used by the business entity that has applied for the loan.
All right.
Mike, is there a penalty for violations, or are we not worried about that right now?
No, sir. The only, I would say it's not a penalty, the binding condition is that when the business applies and is approved, and we expect that to be a very quick turnaround, then the business owner is going to be signing a loan document that does provide the security of the loan. And so I think that rather than it just being a grant and the person could spend it on anything they wanted, this is a loan that incentivizes them to spend it on the legitimate expenses of the program and bring those receipts back, and it just converts. So I think by the fact that it is a loan and nobody really wants extra debt, and we've set it up so that that debt is immediately released when you bring those receipts back and the information that's required back, and then it's just a grant, a business assistance grant. So in order to provide the funding on the front, which is where businesses need it most right now, is because of the cash flow issue. We didn't want to make it a reimbursable grant because the issue is not having perhaps the funding to keep those 3 items paid in full. So that's why we came up with the loan conversion to grant.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Vice Chair Pensurga.
Thank you. I just want to highlight a couple of things that I think, because I'm extremely excited about this program. I think it's wonderful. And I want to commend Mr. Simon, because this format, this forgivable loan convertible to grant, I think it's wonderful because it gets cash directly into the hands of people, our business owners, and it does it immediately. I think that's what we need. Number 2, I like the fact that we are limiting this to small businesses, and we've specified 50 employees or less. Do I have that correct?
Correct.
And that's wonderful, because as we know, the payroll protection program did not roll out exactly as we expected. So this could not be more of a godsend. The third point I want to make is the source of the funding. As you know, $3,000 have become available because of the merger between the Community Caring Center and Feeding South Florida. So if there are any board members from those 2 organizations, I just want to thank both of you because of the work you've done to streamline the food distribution system here in Boynton. You have freed up $300,000. I think we really need to step it up, and to do that, I would be in favor of not just a 300,000 reallocation from the formerly Community Caring Center fund, but also to add on the additional 200,000 from the future redevelopment project line. So I would be more than in favor of moving in that direction to increase it to a total of $500,000 in the pot.
All right, thank you. I'll wait until we all speak before I entertain motions. Board Member Romulus.
Yes, I definitely want to commend you, Mike, and commend the CRA staff. And I remember these are some topics that we were talking about since this COVID-19 pandemic really first rolled out, and to see what we were able to come up with now and be able to roll out and now share publicly. I was chomping at the bit waiting for this to be publicly released.
Yep.
I'm really glad that we finally got it out now. So again, kudos to you and to Tara and Twee for just working on this in the background and making sure that it's now available to our small business owners. This is extremely needed. And running a nonprofit myself, it was funny to know that as soon as the opportunity opened up to apply for the PPP and other loans available by the SBA, it shut down instantly. They were already out of funding. So I know that was a heartbreaking moment for me. So I'm pretty sure other small business owners can relate, and to know that there's another opportunity, that this is definitely exciting to know, and we in Boynton here are taking the forefront on that. I would echo Commissioner Vice Chair Pinsurga's comments about
right.
the additional funding. And then I would also say, let's maybe look at some other things behind the scenes of some of our funding for our small business grants. I know that that's something that we still have that line item, and we didn't use as much of it as we anticipated. So that may be a possibility to reallocate that. So I just want to make sure we're flexible and we're thinking about all possible options. We are in April and have a little bit of time left over in the fiscal year. So there is opportunity there to keep using that funding and really use it for where it's needed at this point in time right now. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Moving on to Board Member Katz.
I support it. As far as going beyond the $300,000, I guess I'd seek some sort of advice from either Director Simon or even Tara. Is there an advantage to doing it in phases, so that after, say, the first 300,000 runs out, if we see changes that we might want to make, is there a way to make it a phase thing? So if there are changes, I don't know if they could be done administratively, but certainly as a body, if we learn something from that initial rollout, or by putting all of it into one shot out the gate, if there's something we notice that we don't like, the program's already rolled out, we can't really change it on the fly. I guess I'm looking for advice on all at once or a two-phased approach.
Tara, do
Well,
you
from a
want
legal, I'll just start from the legal perspective, Mike, and then you can fill in on the policy side of it. From a legal perspective, I think you've captured it. When we roll this program out, the qualifications will be required to be applied until the duration of that program, or until it's amended. So if you want to make changes, you'd have to meet as a board to make changes. I don't know that the funding is necessarily tied to that, but you as a board would approve the program as it's proposed. So I think funding is more of a Mike question.
Okay, thank you, Tara. I would like to say that the overall amount of funding, whether in the one phase or two, I think is great. I like the idea of having you pre-approve this second round of release, just so that perhaps we can have a handle on just exactly what the need is and what the urgency is of our local businesses. I would also ask Tara that under the emergency order and resolution, if there were, let's say there was an item that, would there be an item that I could adjust to, let's say, catch something that we missed during the initial discussion of the program, something along the lines of what Board Member Katz had just mentioned. Does that ordinance, that resolution give me some flexibility to tighten up or make some change if we needed to?
Yeah, the things that wouldn't be able to change would be the categories for reimbursement, the
Okay.
time period, and the cap of how much. So administrative procedures, and
Right.
I read that to include application materials, what you need to prove up the request. That
Wonderful.
falls, I think, under your discretion to be able to change that as you progress through the program.
Great, thank you.
All right. Okay, so my couple questions would be is there a limitation on the businesses that can receive this? Whether they're nonprofit, for-profit?
We have them as for-profit businesses.
Okay. And so they do have to be for-profit businesses. I
Yes,
know
sir.
that with our other economic development grants, we have certain businesses that we do not give funding
Yes.
for. Are those included or not included?
We mimicked our existing grant programs on our ineligible and eligible businesses. And the backup attachment, I can read through the list of ineligible if you'd like, or I can direct businesses to our application, and it will list a number of ineligible businesses, such as firearm sales or adult gambling arcades. But the rest of the items are in the packet,
Okay.
and do mirror exactly our existing our grant programs, exactly.
Okay, so that's kind of what was my major concern.
Yes, sir.
The other aspect of it is that one of the qualifications is payroll expenses. Is that
Yes, sir.
correct?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to just make sure that we qualify that this is for other people, not necessarily the owner's payroll or the or the owner's family. That if this is for the payroll of employees. So like
Yes.
the owner, so that the owner says, hey, I need to buy this inventory, it's one thing. But if he says, oh, I can get $10,000 and then write myself a $10,000 check through the business, I want to make sure that this is, we have that qualifier that the payroll expense is for non-related individuals.
Yes, sir, it is. And also one of the documents that's required to be provided when the business comes in with their list of, or their evidence of payment for eligible items is the UTC-6 form, which is a standard payroll reporting form. And that's how we'll verify those payroll receipts with that form.
Okay, wonderful. And yeah, I'd like to echo the board that to increase it to the $500,000, and that if we could do it into the two phases, so that if someone does not make the initial 300,000, that they have an opportunity for that additional funding, and that we can make any changes necessary so that the people who need it can get it. And so
if I could step in, just to make if the board wishes to make a recommendation from what I'm gathering, one question I have regarding the mayor's clarification is whoever would like to make a motion, if they're making a motion to approve, to include that the program rules clarify that sole proprietors pay to sole proprietors is excluded from reimbursement. And as to that, you had mentioned family, so I don't know how you want to handle that one.
no, I'm not necessarily saying sole proprietors are excluded if they're using it for utility expenses, inventory expenses. However, sole proprietor, yeah, so sole proprietor cannot use it for payroll expenses because they don't have employees, and they'd be just paying themselves with the funds.
That's Board Chair, if I may, that is one of the great issues for some of our local businesses with the PPP program from the federal government, is that it excluded sole proprietors as well. CRA staff was hoping that with proper verification, the business owner that's the sole proprietor is able to do that. It's certainly up to the board, but as of now, we try to include them in that payroll protection plan. But again, it's completely up to the board.
You know, I would limit the amount to $5,000 for a sole proprietor for payroll expense then, if that's what you know, the CRA staff has heard that is one of the needs. And you know, I guess I can look at the other three board members to see if they agree with it. Not a head nod, but that's kind of where I feel a little uncomfortable writing a $10,000 check to a sole proprietor for their payroll expense.
Yes, sir. I think that's a fair compromise, and I think that you may have a sole proprietor who probably will find ways to spend the $10,000 on these other items as well. So I can't guarantee that that's the highest priority for them, given that they can spend money on these other things. And the Payroll Protection Act or plan did not provide for inventory or utilities. So I don't know that it will be a big issue, and I appreciate and respect your concerns. And I think thereby limiting amount of a direct payroll reimbursement under sole proprietorship is a good idea.
All right, Board Member Romulus.
Okay, so I just want to make sure I understand, because I don't want to exclude anybody just because they're a sole proprietor. So are we saying that we would limit their payroll expenses to 5,000, but they can still get up to 10,000 as long as the other 5 is used for other things that's on that list?
Yes, correct.
I can live with that. Okay.
All right, and so may I have that motion?
Mayor?
Yes.
I see a hand raised. I believe it's Jim Knights.
Oh, thank you. So let's go look it up. Yep. So Jim, I'm going to unmute. You got unmuted?
Thank you
Please
again
state
for
your
allowing me to
name and
speak.
address for the record.
Yes, 740 Havana Drive, Boca Raton. I own a couple of properties with some partners on Boynton Beach Boulevard. Team Monamise is a takeout restaurant at 306 East Boynton Beach Boulevard. And then we also have, excuse me, 136 Boynton Beach Boulevard, which is Local Services LLC, Alex Jerome. And we have a check cashing store there. And all 3 of those tenants, we've waived their rent because they're difficult times and so forth. But we still have our mortgage payments to make.
Yep.
I'm not looking for assistance with the mortgage payments, but I'm looking for hopefully assistance for those tenants there with their payroll and so forth to hopefully help out so they can keep their employees there. And if they're successful in doing that, hopefully that helps them in enabling them to pay their rent, whether it's in arrears or whether it's not at all. Again, we've waived it to date for them, for these 3 tenants. I'm hopeful that we can also apply for the program, or they can apply, because I understand the property owner should not be able to apply, but hopefully the tenants can apply for the assistance.
So Jim, that's the next item, the commercial rent reimbursement grant program.
I'm sorry, thank you.
All right, so don't worry, we're coming to it.
Thank you.
All right.
Board Chair Grant, you also have 2 questions that are in the queue. If you would like, I can read them off, or if you would like to read them in for the record.
The first question that I got from Asker, whose last name is Brown, is does the business have to be in the CRA district? And the easy answer is yes, it does have to be in the CRA district. The CRA cannot spend money outside of the district. And I don't see a second question.
The second question is from Adam Birdwell. Are the funds to be used for the entire calendar year of 2020, or do the funds need to be used during the current pandemic period? And if the funds need to be used during specified months and the pandemic is deemed over and funds have not been used, are they then unforgivable?
The answer to that question is that you're eligible to provide the documents back to the CRA to have your loan forgiven 1 year from the date of your grant approval, of your loan approval. So the business can if let's say the money is still available in June, the business that is approved on June 6th has 1 year to provide the CRA with the eligible documentation or the required documentation for eligible expenses, and then that loan would convert to the grant. So we've given everyone a year from the date of approval to, I mean, you can spend the money in a day if your inventory or your other expenses that are eligible require such, but it is not limited to the Corona COVID-19 time period whatsoever. It is from a year of your approved loan. And then if you don't come back in a year, then it is still a loan and you have to pay it back interest-free. But we're providing you with a year to bring those eligible expenses back to us, so we want it to be a grant. So that's the idea.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike. And so I guess if there's no further questions or raised hands, Vice Chair Pensurga.
Mike, could you just talk about timeline and rollout? So how soon could people apply if we move forward with this, and how soon can we get money in people's hands?
Yes, sir. That's a great question. CRA staff, Bonnie Nicklin, our administrative services and grant manager, has every document ready to roll out. We have her working with Renee Roberts of our social media, and we are going to be accepting applications on April 23rd. So provided that the board approves this program this evening, it gives us a day to set up with our live or active PDF forms, and allows us on the website to provide all of the entrance into the submission of documents, because we're going to be doing that online or through the mail because of our issues with social distancing and what have you. We will have our first folks approved and our first checks to them in hand by next Wednesday.
Wow.
And then it'll be every 2 weeks we'll supply it, unless we can convert to a weekly, but the first round of checks will be going out next week.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So now I'll ask for a motion as amended from the discussion that we had today regarding increasing the amount from 300,000 to 200,000. To that we have it in I guess phases of the first 300,000, then the next 200,000, and that we have a limitation on sole proprietors for payroll expenses up to $5,000.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All right. Any further discussion from the board? Seeing none, all those in favor state so by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously.
Wonderful.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Yes.
Thank you, board. Our
Very
next
good.
is consideration of changes to the commercial rent reimbursement grant program in response to COVID-19.
Yes, board chair and board members, very simply, our existing commercial rent reimbursement grant program is a monthly reimbursement for a period of up to 12 months under a multi-year lease currently. And it has been a very successful program, given the last, really since January, February, and certainly March and April, given the COVID-19, we would like to extend the grant program between October 1st and September 30th of this fiscal year. Anyone that has it currently, it would extend to 18 months, and anyone who is approved at a future meeting between now and September 30th, that program is converted to an 18-month reimbursement program. We have the funding in our existing economic development grants to administer, and we know what businesses, there's about 22 businesses that would be eligible for this, and it would be at about $156,000 worth of extended funding. So it doesn't prohibit anyone from continuing to apply for the grant. We have funding available for that as well. And any new approval would be in that 18-month. So just very simply, really extending it from the 12 months to 18. And if a business was finished between October 1st and today, they're also eligible for the additional 6 months.
All right. So Mike, I just want to make sure that, let's say we had someone part of this rent reimbursement grant program that ended in 2019. Would they be eligible for a 6-month extension?
Yes, they would if they were between, if their grant ended between October 1st and March 1st. So someone whose grant ended in July of 2019, last fiscal year,
Okay.
would not be eligible to come back in and get 6 months additional. But anyone whose last reimbursement was, let's say, January, they would have an additional 6 months now, because theoretically their first year just ended and then everything shut down. So we wanted to go back to October 1st.
Okay. My concern is that, this is also hard on a 2-year-old business, a 3-year-old business. And so I kind of would want to see if the board is willing to allow for the reapplication for those 6 months for any of the rent reimbursement recipients within the past 5 years, I guess, from the year 15-16, so that, I understand that this may mean we need to adjust some of the funding, but we want to keep these businesses in the CRA. And, that's the quickest way for a business to get kicked out is not paying their rent. Not all landlords will be willing to abate the rent because of this. And so that's something that hopefully, Tara, we can consider within this motion or a separate motion to allow for the application for the former recipients that are disqualified because they've received 12 months of funding within the last 5 years. You're still muted.
I wasn't muted and then I muted myself. I think that motion would say to move as proposed by staff, as recommended by staff, with the removal of a restriction on previous grant recipients to be able to reapply for an additional 6-month period. So you basically just be lifting the existing grant limitation on only getting it once and saying that you can reapply for an additional 6 months if you have previously received a grant.
All right. I guess board, we'll begin with Woodrow Hay again. If you have any comments regarding this item. Nope, muted.
I'm muted.
Oh,
I think that's
good.
a fair assessment of it. I think they should be allowed that extension, if it's January on. So I go with it.
All right. Board member, Vice Chair Pinsurga.
I'm in favor of it as well. I do want to ask staff first what our financial situation is. How much can we support? Is it only businesses receiving it within the past 2 years, or could we afford up to 3 years? What's the financial situation? But I am in favor of your idea, Mayor.
Without having the full 5-year list of grant reimbursement applicants, it will most likely need some adjustment for additional funding. That could come, it's going to be money that we would move inside the project fund. I would say that we have enough for 22 eligible businesses. That's 22 right now. Between now and the next meeting in May, if there was additional funding needed for this one particular grant, I mean, we probably should try to put an extra, $100,000 or $200,000 in that we can always remove back into the project fund line item But I would say you're going to need at least another 100,000 in there, because that will certainly be more than 22 businesses. And the other thing that I want to make sure that we can be aware of is a business from 5 years ago or 3 years ago had board approval, and will these newly eligible, if it's passed, applications have to go before the board, or will they be allowed to be approved by staff just as these existing conditions are?
I think because of Tara's language to remove the restriction,
Right.
that if they were approved in the past, they'll still be approved. And
Wonderful.
that way, these applicants will have a different type of application than new applicantees.
Yes, sir. Great. So then I guess from a funding perspective, if there would also be an additional motion, or if you approve to include another $100,000 from the future redevelopment project line item.
All right. So I'll get comments from board member Romulus and Katz, and then we can make a motion or open it up to public and go from there.
I'm in agreement, no objections.
Board member Katz?
Just one question. I'm not sure if I heard it answered a minute ago. If somebody obtained the previous iterations of these grants within the past, 6 or 8 months, are they eligible to reapply to obtain these new values of basically the same grant, just under the COVID conditions?
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead, Board
No,
Chair.
I was saying, I believe that Executive Director, those who are currently receiving automatically get the extension. Those that ended within this fiscal year automatically get an extension, and that anybody who ended in September of 2019 or earlier within the past 5 years would have to file a reapplication for the 6 months, and that the staff has approval based upon their previous board approval for the rent reimbursement.
Right, so it would be an administrative approval.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. That's it.
Okay, so Tara, do we need to do it in 2 separate motions, or?
I think you can do it in one if you'd like.
Okay. So I'm going to do it in 2. It just makes it easier. So can we have a motion to approve item 15B?
So move.
Second.
All right. All those in favor state so by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Hearing none. May I have a motion to move $100,000 from our special project fund into the economic development fund for the and removing the restriction of a 12-month timetable for the past recipients of the rent reimbursement grant within the last 5 years. Did I get that right, Tara?
I think what you're saying is allowing previous grant recipients to reapply for an additional 6-month period to be approved administratively by staff.
Perfect. So may I have that motion?
So move.
All right, we have one by, thank you.
Thank you so
And,
much.
all
We'll
those in
provide you updates on how those
Mike,
applications
hold
are
on,
going.
we haven't confirmed.
Oh,
All
sorry.
those in favor state so by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Now
Somebody-
you may begin.
Thank you.
Somebody's excited.
Yes. Yes, you guys got some work to do.
Yeah, we do. Right. You know it. Thank you so
All
much.
right.
Really appreciate
And
it.
so, is there anything for the CRA advisory board? Or I don't see anything for future agenda items. Not hearing anything, so I will request a motion for adjournment.
So move.
I got a first by Hay, second by Romulus. All those in favor state so by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Hearing none, CRA board meeting is now closed.